Hello, TikTok Live. I am jumping on because I want to talk about the heart behind agape today. So, some of you guys may know, some of you might not. We've actually got a Christian dating site called Agape that was started and kind of launched in January of 2022. We have almost 1,000 people who are on that platform right now, which is incredible. And these people love Jesus, they're sold out for the kingdom, and they want to meet other Christians who love Jesus just as much as them. So I just want to tell you a little bit about how it started and the heart behind this movement that God, I really feel, is kind of championing and really going before us in. So basically, I started some singles groups, 2 years ago, and for Christian singles who were at my ministry school, because I just found there are so many people who love Jesus and they're all single. And I'm like, okay, I've come from Australia where it's slim pickings, trying to find Christians who actually love the Lord to date. And here they all are in one place. So I created a exclusive community of singles online for my school, and people started to meet, they started to date, and they've even gotten married since then. And as I started to listen to more and more pain points and just kind of hear people's struggles with online dating and meeting people, I realized that what we're currently doing online isn't really meeting their needs. What's currently being offered, they're meeting Sunday Christians or people who aren't really sold out for their faith, but they want to meet people who love Jesus, but they don't know where they are. And there's no real platform or place where they can all gather. And so I started just listening, and I kept hearing complaint after complaint after complaint of, it's so hard to meet people online. And yes, people were meeting through our singles group, but it was such a slow way to meet, right? So you have to send somebody like a friend request or a message. And if you're not friends, or they might not see it. And like 3 months later, when they eventually do see it, they might respond. And then you're dating somebody else by that point. So I was like, okay, we need to do something about this. And just seeking the Lord in it, I really felt him say, hey, you know what? We can actually redeem online dating, and we can actually make it look more like his heart. Because at the moment, it doesn't look that different than the pattern of the world. There's a lot of ghosting. I'm sorry, my dog's just decided to start eating right next to me. There's a lot of ghosting. There's a lot of cowardly people. There's a lot of, even hookup culture that sometimes makes its way into even Christian dating, and not guarding hearts well, all of this stuff. And so I was like, oh, we don't need to just create a platform where people can do this. We need to create resources to actually teach people how to date well and how to represent God's heart well in dating. Because unfortunately, right now it's looking really similar to everybody else around us. The church isn't really giving tools on healthy, godly dating. And so Christians are going to the world to find out how to date and how to date well. And so we put our heads down. I sent out surveys. I surveyed thousands of people, or I asked thousands of people to fill out the surveys, and we got some really good answers of what Christians were actually looking for in a dating platform. And then we basically created that, and that's how Agape was born. So I really sought to go, okay, how can we represent God well in this? We have code of conduct, we have etiquette for our site. We provide kind of like scripts and things to help you. Hi, Sue Blessed, good to see you. We provide scripts and kind of like, hey, if you're not interested, here's a really honoring way to say that, rather than just ghosting the person or never responding to them, because that's not what we do as Christians. We are brave, we are not cowardly. And so we have online events. We have an event coming up on Friday, which I'm really excited about, a singles mixer. And we have over 60 people who've registered for that, which is really exciting. And we have, courses. Like I said, we have courses. So we have like kingdom dating. What does kingdom dating look like? We also have interviews with some of the bigger names, in our culture around dating. So I've done an interview with Danny Silk, who wrote Keep Your Love On, Abby and Justin Stumvall, some really amazing people who have so much wisdom to share on these topics around how can we date well? How can we date as kingdom believers who actually want to honor the Lord with their dating? And So we have those, and we also have love story testimonies. So I've basically gathered testimonies from Christians who are married and are thriving in their marriage of, hey, how did you fall in love? Let's build hope within singles so that they can actually hear love stories and have their faith and hope stirred up for the goodness of God in this area of their lives. It's great to meet somebody, but if you're not healthy and thriving and whole, usually those relationships don't go super well, or they're really dysfunctional because you have two dysfunctional people meeting and they're not thriving together. One person's insecurities are coming out, and then one person's trying to control because they've got past hurts and past trauma, and issues are coming up, and it's not conducive to really having good, healthy relationship. And so we have courses around, dealing with your heart. Ladies, what are you believing about men that might actually be holding you back from walking in the fullness of what God has for you in this area? There's a lot of different aspects of what is on this platform, but what I see consistently is people being blown away that there's legit people on a dating platform that actually love God, and reading through the profiles, it's not just like, yeah, I go to church, but like, oh, I'm sold out for the kingdom. Like, I love Jesus, and I actually want to meet and marry somebody else who loves Jesus. And so that was my heart from the very beginning. And I remember asking the Lord, oh, what should I call this site? What should I call it? And I thought, oh, agape, AGAPE, it sounds pretty cool, like agape love. But I was like, oh, it's just, you see that so often in the Christian world. And then I felt the Lord say, call it agape, because before you can get to agape love, you have to say hey first. So we called it agape. So AGAPHEY, which is just kind of a cute, kind of, quirky take on agape love. And I really love that. I feel like it really represents the quirkiness and the coolness, and like, hey, before you can get to agape love, you need to say hello to somebody. You need to actually step out. You need to risk. And so he gave me that name in 2020, June of 2020, so 2 years ago. And I have to say, it's been quite the uphill journey. I hired one developer to create an app, and it was atrocious. And so we had to fire him. And then we hired another guy and kind of got screwed over a little bit in that. And thought, okay, we'll start with a site. Apps are really hard to get off the ground. They cost a lot of money. Let's start with a site first. Hi, Marigold. We thought, let's start with a site first. And so we launched the site, and we had over 100 people join within the first 4 days, which was amazing. With a limited, like, you pay once, you never have to pay again offer. And that was incredible. My developer actually said, I don't know how you're doing this. He's not a Christian, but he said, I've built so many dating sites, and I've not seen any of them get 100 people. Some of them, it takes years to get like 100 people to join their dating site. And these people have legitimate followings and are kind of well-known. And he said, I don't know how you're doing this. And I was like, really? Wow. Okay. God must really be in this. And so we've seen people meeting and falling in love and joining. And the really exciting thing is now we're 6 months in. Well, I guess, yes. Well, into like just about to hit into our 7th month, because we're obviously in July, and our app is going to be coming out in the next, hopefully 2.5 months. And so the app is incredible. And it looks very modern, very sleek, very like, competitive with what's out there, which is really exciting. And we actually get to offer an alternative to Christians who want to meet other believers who are really on fire for Jesus, who really actually love the Lord and want to meet other people who love the Lord as well. And so, there's been a lot of, okay, Lord, how do we go about this? Even with the price point, the Lord gave me the price point in a dream. And then I actually put it down lower because I was like, okay, we'll start low and we'll kind of work up to that. And then I hired somebody to help me. And she was like, I actually don't think you're charging enough. This is the price point that I felt the Lord say. And it was exactly the exact price point that we have, because I realized that when something is free, well, for instance, we have expenses to pay, so we can't make it completely free. But when something doesn't cost anything, there's no buy-in, and we want to make sure that people on the platform actually are bought into the process, that if you're going to be talking to somebody, they have skin in the game. They're going to respond. Right? They're actually not there to just spam or ghost or, muck around, but they're actually invested. And that comes from, actually, I'm going to vote with my dollar. And so God actually gave us even down to the price point. Hey, this is how much you need to charge, so that people are invested, and this is something. Price point also is really good at weeding out people who are not the kind of people that we want on a site like this. And so we've found it to be really beneficial having that price point. Also, just to pay our bills and to pay our expenses as well has been really good, having that price point there. But also the site has been incredible because it's basically been funding the app as well. And so we've been breaking even since the first month, which is, I hear, is completely unheard of in the business world. And it just shows that the Lord is doing something. I really felt like the purpose and the drive behind building something like this was creating godly families. I felt the Lord say that amazing godly families start with amazing godly marriages, which begins with incredible godly singles meeting and falling in love. And it's through these kingdom families that the culture of the world is actually going to be transformed. And I really believe that the Lord uses the family unit to speak of his grace and his love to the rest of the world. And so I'm like, we need to be on the forefront of helping kingdom Christians and Christians who are really on fire for Jesus, people who love Jesus, to actually meet and fall in love. And I'm really proud to say, through the ministry that I've had for the last 2.5 years, I don't even know, I haven't kept count of how many couples have come together through it, how many marriages have come from it. There's even people now who are dating or even married who met on our very first singles mixer in April of 2020. And I just love that. They dated, they were international, like one was overseas, they met, they got married, like, a year and a half later. And I'm like, oh wow, kingdom is happening because of the work that we're doing. And it's really interesting because every time I feel discouraged, or it's not moving fast enough, or I want to be somewhere else, or I want to have more members, all the things that come with running a business, that's usually when I receive a testimony. I'll be sitting there and then somebody will message me, hey, I'm getting married, and I just want to let you know I met this person on your site. I'm like, what? I would have no idea. Or recently I got literally a message from a girl when I was having one of these prayers with the Lord. Lord, what are we doing? Like, what are you doing in this? And she said, hey, I just want to let you know I would never have met my husband if it wasn't for you. We're getting married in September. And we actually met through one of the things that you've been doing. I was like, wow, that's incredible. And so that's kind of how Agape was birthed. That's been my heart from the very beginning. How can we help really incredible godly people to meet, fall in love, and do it in a really healthy way? Because it's not enough to just meet and fall in love. But if you're not healthy and thriving, knowing your identity in Christ, knowing how to resolve conflict, knowing how to navigate the challenges that come with relationship, I see incredible couples that have so much potential to completely implode upon themselves because they don't know how to navigate these big things that come up. They don't know how to navigate their hearts. They don't know how to navigate conflict or compromise or conflict resolution. They don't know how to share their hearts from a place of vulnerability. And so they don't actually have really good, thriving relationships, but they're really incredible people and they have so much potential as a couple. And so I'm like, hey, let's not just create a platform, but let's support singles as they date. Let's support singles to have hope. Let's increase their hope levels by giving them testimonies. The Bible says they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and the power of their testimony. They overcame the enemy. The enemy wants to steal, kill, and destroy your hope. But if we have testimonies to feed on and we see the goodness of God in others' lives through love story testimonies, then we can actually build that up within ourselves and go, oh, you know what? That's possible for me as well. Just like with healing, just like with anything else that we're going after, we can actually build up our hope levels for something and our faith for something by hearing testimonies of healing and seeing people who have been healed and meditating on, the Lord's word around healing, and it actually starts to boost our faith and boost our confidence. Even in the singles, in the course that I have for single women, it's called the 9 Weeks to Dating Breakthrough. I'm seeing so many women just reignited with hope in the area of their singleness. And you know what's happening? They become more attractive to men, to godly men. Men can actually pick up their hope that they have. They're not wallowing in bitterness. They're not wallowing in like, what's it called? Like a victim spirit, or woe is me kind of thing, but they're actually like, hey, I have hope for this and I'm thriving. And all of a sudden they're being approached by the men around them who actually are like, hey, I want to get to know you because I can tell there's something different on you. All of a sudden there's hope. You're really operating from this place. And so it's a really exciting thing to partner with. There's still such a long road to go, but I'm really excited with what God is doing in and through the Agape platform and what he's going to continue to do once the app comes out, because that's going to be a game changer and really make it a contender for what we're doing with modern apps and everything else that's out there. Because what I didn't realize, I was very naive coming into this. I thought like, oh, Christian apps are owned by Christian people, Christian companies, like they have your best interests at heart. And what I didn't realize was that some of the biggest Christian dating apps and dating sites are actually owned and operated by other companies that, the same company that owns Upward owns Tinder and Plenty of Fish and Hinge, that don't necessarily carry God's heart. And then a lot of them use bots and fake profiles, and, they'll even have people in the Philippines or in India or in other places managing like 50 profiles and talking back to you. So it keeps you engaged. It keeps you thinking that there's more users. And so we've opted to do none of that. We're going to let it grow organically, which also means slower, but having way better quality of people. And you're not, hopefully going to have to worry about being scammed and, having people catfish you and doing all of these things. So yeah, it's definitely been a one step at a time journey, but that's my heart. I believe that God is redeeming online dating. 70% of people still meet online. So it is still the number one way people are meeting. So rather than throwing it all away and saying, well, this isn't for me as a Christian, it's like, how can we create something that actually does represent God's heart and can redeem it and make it a good experience for people? Obviously, people are people, and, not every experience will be good necessarily, but you are going to meet, you could potentially meet like 100 people in a month, 100 men or 100 women in a month that are single, eligible, and want to date, right? Online. 100 is very low end, right? It's being very, not being very generous. You'll probably meet a lot more, but in real life, you might meet like 5. So it's still putting you in front of so many more potential mates, so many more potential people that you can meet and date. And that's why I do believe it is a better way. Yes, there'll be heartbreak. Yes, not everyone will be perfect. But I like to think of it as meeting somebody else out anywhere else. It's an introductory service. I'm being introduced to somebody online. And then just like anybody walking past me at the grocery store and I meet them, they could be great, they could be not great, they could be compatible with me, they could be not compatible with me. And if my identity is not tied into them liking me, then it doesn't matter, because if it's not this person, it will be the next one or the next one. There's always going to be somebody that likes me, wants to get to know me, and sees value in who I am and that I'm compatible with. And so dating from that place, not dating from a place of lack, but a place of abundance, and knowing who we are in Christ, actually opens the door so much more and makes the online dating experience so much more enjoyable, because we can just relax and have fun rather than taking it on and taking it personally and finding these big identity statements based on whether somebody likes us or not. I always say dating is a great place to find your husband or your wife, but it's a terrible place to go to answer big questions about yourself. Like, am I lovable? Am I desirable? Will anybody ever love me? Right? Because those questions can only be answered in Christ, and knowing who you are in Christ. Everything else flows from that place. And if you already know who you are, then no amount of no's or rejection is actually going to touch me or penetrate me, because I know who I am. And I know, hey, if it's not this person, there's going to be somebody else who I'm compatible with. And that's good. And that's okay. And so I do believe that God is redeeming online dating. He's making it look more like his heart. And one way that we're contributing, I feel like there's so many people who are wanting to do things in this space. And there are a few that actually are doing things in this space. And this is our contribution to what God is doing, is actually, hey, we're going to create a platform for people who actually love Jesus, are sold out for him, and want to see, and want to meet others who are as well, and want to see the kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven, and actually do that through the family unit which God created. So that's the heart behind Agape. Yeah, thanks for listening. Have a great day.